Alright, welcome back to my channel, and welcome here for the first time if this is your first time coming here. I have been given updates on the coronavirus for about the past 10 days now, probably just a little bit over a week. I've been keeping the spreadsheet up to date since about early February. I am not a scientist, I am just a lonely regular programmer who is decided to track the data, and because I just wanted to get a broader look on what the percentage growth, what the percentage trends are from day to day. And I get the three main stats are provided by mainly the Johns Hopkins CSSE, the public repository, and that is confirmed, deaths, and recovered. So I update the global stats and then multiple times a day, and the countries, the individual countries, once a day using a script. So let's take a look at the numbers today, and there's nothing really, unfortunately, here that is actually good news. So starting off with global, the total confirmed cases have risen today by the highest ever at 70,401. Now keep in mind, this is actually just a couple of hours before I stop updating on this. This is 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I run these stats until midnight Eastern Standard Time. But this individual country data here for each of the different countries won't change. That gets updated about 8 or 9 o'clock every night, Eastern Standard Time. So, 70,401 confirmed cases increase. Now, that brings the confirmed growth up slightly, but it has been hovering around the low teens for quite some time now. As it's actually, the raw numbers are increasing, this figure isn't really moving up much. So at least that's good. That's going to curve or just like stop some of the exponential growth of the whole thing. But even though it's still, and I want to add some charts in, even though it's still an exponential pattern we're looking at, because it's still 10% on the previous number, if that makes sense, but, or 11% in the case of today. But I also want to, I have been reinforced in the past few nights that just because the number of confirmed cases are up doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing, because that means that people are getting tested. I was looking at stopping to say that today because I thought that might be getting a little bit repetitive, but I've been seeing a alarmingly larger number of tweets and comments from people on Reddit and mainly Twitter, and it's scary that the people on Twitter who are doing this seem to be the one with blue check marks and are verified and supposed to be reputable media sources, but it's true, like they just try to take a negative take out of everything, and I don't think it is no positive news that confirmed cases are up. Let me just set that straight. But it's also, there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel in that it means that there are more confirmed, more tests going on in general. So I think I decided to actually just say that little disclaimer, or that little point anyway, again, because, and I think we'll be making it more consistently from now on, because I see that sort of sentiment resonating more and more, that people are panicking more because confirmed cases are going up. We don't necessarily need to panic if there's confirmed cases going up. We need to panic, well, ideally not panic, but we need to be more concerned about the number of deaths versus the number of recovered. So I'm getting really irritated, a little distraught and upset that a lot of the media attention, again, because they really missed the boat on warning the public about this. They were downplaying this in January and February when they were saying it's no worse than the cold or no worse than a flu, and really just towing the line from WHO. But WHO just they have their own priorities and agendas as well, and at best that's to not make the public panic. So anyway, confirmed cases is up. It's the highest ever, so that's not good. But one good thing is that obviously tests will be up as well. So more people are getting tested. The more people that are getting tested, the less we'll be in the dark about this, about people walking around that potentially have the virus. Okay, so anyway, number of deaths. This is the main thing to look at, and this is not good news either. But yeah, so it went up to 30,000, over 30,000 today, 30,850 the last time I checked this, and which was just like maybe 30 minutes ago. Deaths increase. Unfortunately, this is the highest amount, consistently over 3,000 today. It went up over 3,000 for the first time yesterday, and today is at 3,486. Now, that's a death growth rate of 12.7%, so that's down slightly. But again, this has also been hovering around about the low teens for the past week. So it still means that it's exponentially going up, and that's something to be concerned about. The number of recovered, thankfully, are also going up. Now, I don't have a day-to-day delta on that, but I do have it consistently being factored into the recovered death rate here. Now, unfortunately, relative to people being recovered, deaths relative to people being recovered is still a higher number, relatively speaking. Otherwise, this rate will be going down. But right now, it's going up still, although it hasn't been going up as much as yesterday, but it's at 17.6% today. The WHO death rate is consistently been hovering between 4.5 to 4.4% today. So depends, maybe in another couple of hours from now it'll be 4.5, but it might still be at 4.4. But you know, this is such a irrelevant death rate, I feel, and I've been going, if you want more of a detailed explanation into that, I actually go into it a little bit last night in my update, and I bring in a very amateur looking diagram, but it's in Markdown, and it was written on a Reddit comment. So, you know, Reddit comments don't really have any strong diagramming tools, and it explains the point anyway about why this number is, why the death rate that the WHO uses is pretty much meaningless, and this is probably the most meaningful one, followed by this, and then this. So incubation death rate is up slightly as well, 16.5%. Now, if we go to global stats minus excluding China, because, and I have something actually to go over why China's lower, another reason why China's numbers could be lower. And, you know, I've alluded to maybe it's perhaps they're lying, or maybe it's perhaps they're really, really good at quarantining. But there could be another reason for that. So, yeah, so what are we looking at? So this is, okay, so confirmed, I mean, global minus China, so confirmed is still up, and, you know, this isn't really looking too different to the global stats at the moment. Yeah, apart from the deaths being about 3,000 behind in total, but all the increases are going to be about the same, because this is where the rest of the world is where the main number of confirmed cases and deaths are coming from. Now, the recovered death rate is up a lot, especially compared to like the beginning of March. You can see it's up at 28.5% today. It's probably going to go down more as time goes along. So this is, as you saw, like in the global stats, that it was at, I think it was at 17.5%, I said. So that's actually still going up, but this has actually started to go down a little bit. We've almost got a trend here, but I still wouldn't really, this isn't enough of a number shift to call this really a trend yet. So, you know, I wouldn't really celebrate yet, but once it gets down to 25 and 20%, then that's all right. The WHO death rate is basically the same. Incubation death rate is almost the same as the recovered death rate. So you'll see like all these rates should come closer together if the data is accurate towards the end of this epidemic. Now, in terms of countries, Italy, if we look at that, I think they passed over 10,000 deaths today. Yeah, so unfortunately they passed over 10,000 total, but their increase is kind of, well, obviously a little bit down from yesterday, but still under 1,000, and their rate is still no higher than 10%. Sorry, it's been hovering above 10% for a little bit in the past week, but it's not, I mean, if they still had the same rate as, say, the US and the UK do, then they'd be in a lot more trouble. Now, the WHO death rate is kind of high, and their recovered death rate is always, it's been consistently in around about the mid 40%. And actually checking out the UK and the US, because, and these countries, it's not just because they start with you, but they I tend to sort of like clump them together because their outbreaks kind of started are about the same, and relatively the same kind of numbers we're looking at, even though the US has about twice as many deaths now, but still incrementally it's still probably happening about just as much. But the UK's recovered doesn't seem to be moving as much. I mean, it's almost stuck for a few days on end, as you can see here. 67 multiple days, 140 multiple days, 151, same as yesterday. So because they don't have many recovered at this point, this could go rapidly up in the next few weeks though. But maybe this is a sign that their hospitals are overwhelmed. So their recovered death rate is really high, 87.1%. Now the US is somewhere between the UK and Italy. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we'll just bring it up now. And yeah, they're at about 65.4%. Their WHO death rate is still really low because their confirmed cases are so high. And again, they confirmed another 19,821. Now, as I said earlier, the media is panicking a lot about that, but look, it's keeping their WHO death rate down a lot, which the media also likes to quote, so I don't really know what game the media is playing. They like to quote this death rate, and they also like to panic about the US having such a high amount of confirmed cases. Well, if they had a lower amount of confirmed cases to the amount of deaths they'd have, like this death rate they quote so often would be a lot higher. It's, pick one. So anyway, you can probably tell I'm a little bit more agitated than the past few nights, but just the ridiculousness of the media is really getting to me. So I think, we'll just leave it at that for country data. You can check it out more. Obviously, Spain is not good either. So on to stuff that has caught my attention on Reddit and Twitter. So first, on to medical stuff. Oh yeah, okay. So that'll calm me down. Got a nice 11% stout going tonight. So this is going to be almost feeling like bourbon. So this on the CB News subreddit, this needs to go viral. I wasn't really sure what this was before, but the clickbait drew me in. And it's actually... I wish it had a better title because it's probably going to turn some people off, but it does need to go viral. There's a plea from I'm not sure if he's a doctor or a nurse, but someone in Spain, and it's given an account of the situation there. And the most revealing thing is how visibly shaken and emotional he is. He's complaining that, well, not complaining, it's just dawned on him, I guess, and he's really sad that they're actively pulling respirators out of patients over 65 now. So that's how desperate the situation is getting there, and it's really sad. This one on the End Coronavirus subreddit. Sorry, I feel like I'm about to sneeze, but hopefully I can hold it together for the end of this. This is a thread that says, data shows Amazon raised prices during pandemic alongside sellers accused of price gouging. So there's been a lot of, and this gives me hope in humanity, there's been a lot of criticism on price gouging, especially in the past week. I think this sentiment is growing a lot. But now Amazon have been found to be guilty of that. So it's very interesting. It's only a small thread. It's only got 23 upvotes and 2 comments, but I'm not sure where. I mean, maybe it appears on other threads, but it's mainly the news that counts. And I wish more journalists would sort of shine a light on this kind of aspect of things rather than, things that are just going to cause panic without being able to provide any solutions on things. But price gouging is something we can do about now. So I wish that the media would shine a really bright spotlight onto that. So on to the next thing on CB News subreddit. Some may even die, I don't know. Former Wells Fargo CEO wants people to go back to work and see what happens. This is on the Business Insider today. This is just another crap take from a CEO again. There's going to be a lot of conflicting and reveals from, these very capitalist CEOs that are going to come out in this epidemic, because a lot of them will probably be trying to hide their true nature and on the surface say, yeah, we care about our employees and we just want everyone to get better before coming back to work. But then every now and then something like this leaks out, and yeah, this is from his former Wells Fargo CEO, so that's probably why it's a little bit more opinionated. But yeah, so I mean, he doesn't have any clout in this, but he's probably in close relation to people on the board or whatever now. So it maybe just communicating some of the sentiment that's actually still existent there. The next one that caught my attention is on the Wuhan flu subreddit. Social distancing. New study suggests 2 meters is not enough. And this is, I actually like a lot of the links that are provided in the Wuhan flu subreddit and some of the other subreddits, but they seem to be on this archive website, which actually goes through the paywall on a lot of these sites. And a lot of these sites they've claimed that they're actually not going to have paywalls on their coronavirus news, but obviously this one did. So yeah, so this is a good link to it here. You can actually see this paywall doesn't, you're not hit up with a paywall barrier as soon as you try to access it. So it just goes into some information and diagrams here about 5 days later, 30 days later, and about the different distances between people being exposed. So oh, what's this? And there's a podcast here. Interesting. Okay, so that's cool. This one is blowing up everywhere today, actually. But I think I saw this first on the China flu subreddit. So Hong Kong journalist asks Hu senior advisor about Taiwan. He pretends to not hear, hangs up the phone, and ends the interview abruptly. Like, what the hell? If you're trying to calm down the public's fears and claims about who not being paid off by Chinese money, this isn't the way to go about it. So this is just going to stoke the fears of people more and into the, into going down the path more of like a conspiracy theory territory and saying, well, what is the WHO trying to protect? Why are they getting so upset? And you can play the video. The journalist just asked about Taiwan, and it's not like she said anything about Chinese ownership of Taiwan or the Chinese, I guess, sort of like their relationship with Taiwan, to put it gently. But she's just asking about the situation in Taiwan, and he just brushes it over as if Taiwan isn't even a country. So it's freaking weird. But yeah, if you haven't checked this out, this is kind of everywhere today, so that's good. But I really hope the guy gets fired or something. But yeah, this stuff does not belong in a World Health Organization. It's disgusting. So anyway, another thread that caught my attention on the coronavirus FOSS subreddit, face mask propaganda. It's kind of reminds you of the scene in The Office where Steve Carell's character is going snip snap about getting a vasectomy. Because this information on is a face mask good, is it bad, keeps on going back and forth every single day. And I don't think it's resolved here. It's just a good place for part of the discussion today, I guess. So, on to the next thing, and I actually want to go through this whole thread because this is somebody I follow on Twitter, Kat Gleason. She's the CEO of a company, a young company called Eligible, and she apparently has been MIA on Twitter for a bit and then came out today saying that she's had coronavirus and has gone through for 15 days so far, and has gone through the whole 15 days of her symptoms. Day 1 of symptoms, already self-isolating. Sudden fever spike and runny nose. Fever in a matter of minutes went from 100 to 102. I thought the thermometer broke. I took Advil because I hadn't learned you shouldn't take NSAIDs yet. Sorry, even I don't know what that is. But I guess, yeah, she's saying just like ibuprofen in general. And I do know that you should be taking penicillin instead. Fever broke. I wrote off as cold. So day 2 to 7, next morning for the next 5 days. So yeah, I may not should just like read everything because it's actually quite long. But there's some crazy things in here. She says she was put on, they said that she called a test hotline and they said that she's being put on a list to get a test and that someone will call me, but they don't know when to schedule the appointment. And then she says, I think no one ever calls to test me. And she says also that fever magically breaks, and then the fever comes back. And then she says she was coughing up blood. So it gets pretty bad. Like, it just makes you think, look, if you're afraid of dying, that's one thing. That's good fear to have. I think most people have that fear. But if you think that that's the worst thing, and that, hey, you're young enough or you're healthy enough that you can beat any cold or flu or virus and get over it, I don't think you really want to go through this, even if you're going to survive. So it's just, I think it's a good read, and it's kind of hit at home for me too, because I've been following her for many years now. So this is someone, kind of one of the first people, and I think, even though I don't really know her, but it's kind of almost one of the first people that I kind of know that has had it and has given their account. So the last thing that I sort of noted was Rachel Bloom. I think was she actually from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend meme? Or is this indicating something else? But she might be an actor that started off in the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend meme. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that NYU Tisch School, I think that's the acting or drama school. Anyway, they were demanded, or really, they've had this email back and forth with students to give their refunds because they're not happy. There's some classes that can't be taught, I guess, online, or that should get discounts, and I think that's fair. Maybe drama should be one of them because it's theater performance and stuff. I'm not going to go too much into that because I don't really know what's involved. Anyway, she was alma mater. Stop buying up real estate and start treating your students and their parents with some respect and empathy. So I actually didn't really. I must have clicked on the wrong one here. But this. Okay, dear God, this video. So what happens is basically the dean of this school gives after berating the students in the email, saying, "Hey, you shouldn't need a refund." Blah blah blah. I don't know, whatever she says. But then she ends it by sending a link to a Vimeo vlog or Vimeo song and dance that she put up of her dancing, as if to say F you, and like an F you dance. So it's really weird and it's kind of creepy. So that's it. So hope you're staying well, staying indoors on this weekend, finding a good pandemic movie. So things are definitely getting worse. I hope this helps not to panic, but just keep in mind that this is probably going to be a long haul. And I think I saw some other things in the news that this virus, I went over it yesterday, that the virus numbers might be getting up in China again, but who knows with the numbers. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything right now on some of the stuff that the reasoning. I know I said before there might be another reason why China's numbers have gone down a lot lately, but I couldn't really find any credible sources to actually include on this vlog, so maybe they'll start coming up in the next few days. Otherwise, you won't hear of that, and again, I'll just shut up about it. But because it's mainly the numbers you want to look at, and some of these numbers are flawed. Some of these numbers, a lot of the countries won't be providing accurate numbers, but it's the only numbers we have. So, take it easy, and I'll be updating again about the same time tomorrow. Bye.